In this video, I'm going to be building mechs out of all the new LEGO Fortnite sets that just came out a couple weeks ago, and they'll get more complex with each build. Let's get started. LEGO and Fortnite partnered up to create their own game that launched toward the end of 2023, and it's pretty fun. The more exciting thing about this partnership is that now we have official LEGO Fortnite sets. There are 4 new sets that you can buy, and there was also a free gift with purchase available if you pick the sets up within the first couple of days. This LEGO set is definitely the weirdest one from the lineup, and I wasn't really expecting to like it very much. As I got into the build though, it started growing on me pretty quickly. Peely's brain is the most unsettling part of this set, and it's definitely a unique feature. He's split in half between his banana side and skeleton side, which means there's very little repetition in the actual build process. Both arms are completely different. You get to use a really cool technique to build his ribcage, and this big panel piece makes it look like he's actually being peeled. He also has a backpack and some really cool weapons. This banana pickaxe is huge, and the paint launcher build is a great looking design as well. The base has some crazy building techniques to place Peely's foot at an angle, which makes the final model turn out like this. This build is huge, and I came up with a super easy idea for how I can modify the set to make it into a mech. Let's get this one knocked out real quick. If you pull this piece off the top of Peely's head, you're left with a perfect spot for a minifigure pilot. I started by adding a control panel to the front of the head and stole the Peely minifigure from the battle bus to use as a mech pilot. I grabbed this roll cage piece to keep a similar shape to what the head used to look like and attached it using a clip. This mod was so basic that it seems kind of silly, but I think it looks funny enough that I'm proud of myself for coming up with such a big brain idea. Enough with the simple modifications though. Let's get into the thick of it. The Durrr Burger is only $15, and unfortunately it doesn't come with a minifigure. I really like the way this set is built though, because you work your way through things building each part of the burger. Once you get to the end, everything is held together by a long Technic axle, kind of like a toothpick in a real burger. This is a great little character build, and I'm so excited to start modifying it because I think this is going to work out perfectly. I'm starting this mod out by creating some hips for the mech. I'm using a round brick on a ratcheting turntable piece so I can rotate the torso for posability. I attach some ball joints around the round brick and tie everything together with some slopes so all the parts are securely locked in place. I pulled off the bottom of the burger and attached the hips so everything is ready to go. I also need some spots to attach the arms to the burger, so I grabbed some smaller ball joints and attached them underneath the cheese. I put the tomato back in place, replaced the bottom half of the bun, stuck the other half on top, and skewered everything together with the Technic toothpick. For the legs, I'll be using these fixed joint pieces because this thing's going to be pretty top heavy and I don't want it falling over because of having weak knees. I connected some slopes to lengthen the legs a little bit and got a ball socket attached to the top with some back-to-back brackets so we can add more details in a second here. I attach an ankle connector at the bottom and use another leg piece to sandwich everything together. A couple of orange slopes on the thigh and ankle should do the job for rounding out these legs. The foot design I'm going to go with uses a couple of brackets to extend the foot forward, a slope for the toes, and some inverted slopes for the heels. I use some slopes and tiles to build around the outside of the foot and attach it to the ankle. I get the leg connected to the hips and duplicate the design to the other side, and now our burger has the gift of mobility. I'm deciding to use yellow for the arms since these are coming out of the cheese section of the burger. Using the same structural parts as I did for the legs, I connect the ball joints, a couple of slopes for detail and shaping, and now I can get some hands built. I'm using a bar and clip system to give this mech some articulating fingers so it can hold on to weapons. I connect the hand to the wrist, the arm to the burger, and double up on the cheese with the exact same design for the other side. I want to make an appropriately themed pickaxe for the burger, so I started building a ketchup bottle with some round bricks. This didn't seem obvious enough on its own, so I added some more condiments with a bottle of mustard, and after stacking them together and attaching them to a handle, this mech is finished. I actually like this design more than I expected to. It looks ridiculous, but it also kind of makes sense. I wish I had a Beef Boss minifigure to put on the inside, but for now, we can just imagine that he's in there. Maybe LEGO will make him someday. The Supply Llama is a good looking set, but man, I have to say it was not fun at all to have to build all these tiny slopes. At least it looks accurate once you finish it up, but I think this was probably the least fun set to put together from the wave. This play feature is pretty fun where you load up a bunch of items and then flip this piece down so you can drop all the supplies. Enough yapping though, let's go ahead and tear this thing apart so we can make it into a mech. Starting with the head, I took these printed eyes and stickered slope for the nose since I think they'll go a long way in making it actually look like the supply llama. I included some small bar pieces in the back of the head so I can clip some ears on later. I used some bricks with studs on the side to attach the nose and eyes and clip the bottom of the mouth onto the front. I got the ears attached and set the head to the side so I can work on the torso. I'm using a standard mech body for the main torso of this build. I'm stealing a ton of slopes from the original set so I can recreate the piñata pattern and worked my way around the back to create attachment points for the arms and the head. I connected everything with some slopes and clipped the head onto the droid arms to get it set at the right height. I built the hips with a couple of small ball joints and included a bar to connect the llama's tail. I downsized the design from the original set and connected the hips to the torso. I'm using these pieces again for the legs to keep things from getting too complicated. I pulled a bunch of slopes from the original set and color blocked them to different parts of the legs. The foot uses some plates and brackets, and I build them with the studs facing backwards this time so I can get a different style out of them. I connected the legs to the hips and moved along to building the arms. I built a couple of identical sections for the arms in 4 different colors. These should snap together easily into upper and lower arm sections for both sides. I built a pretty similar hand to the Durrr Burger mech but used small fingers since this build isn't quite as large. I'll be using Bright Bomber as the pilot for this mech, so I think it should have a standard pickaxe as its weapon since that makes sense for the character. I attached some plates together and used a couple of really long slopes to make the top of the pickaxe. It actually ended up scaling pretty well with the mech, and this build is finished. This mech looks super goofy, but it turned out just as I imagined it would. The color scheme is perfect, and I think it's pretty clear what it was inspired by. Let's take things up a couple levels and move on to the battle bus. This set is a fantastic value for the money. It comes with 9 exclusive minifigures, and the build is a pretty decent size. This is the one I'm most excited to modify because I think I can try to make it look like some kind of transformer since it's going to be based off of a vehicle. There are tons of fun parts and stickered pieces that I can use to carry over certain design elements. Let's get started with the body. I built up a squared off section for the cockpit because I want to use this hood piece from the bus on the front. I also pulled off the rear view mirrors, which I want to incorporate as well. I attached some grill slopes to the side to act as a backstop for the mirror clips. Got them connected to the hood and squeezed everything together. I also grabbed these headlights from the bus, which I think will look great here, and a stickered part that says Battle Bus on it to tie everything together. I'll connect a couple of sloped sections to shape the top of the cockpit and place some clips toward the back of the torso so I can mount the head here in just a second. This yellow hose piece was on the front of the bus along with these accessories that were mounted on top of the bus. This is really starting to come together, but we can't have a headless mech at this size. I grabbed a brick with studs on the side and placed some slopes with a trans red stud for the eye of the robot. I'll build around this brick with some more plates and slopes to widen the head and get the shaping I'm looking for. After connecting the head to the body, I'm ready to get started on the bottom half of the mech. I'll use a brick with 2 ball joints for the internal structure, plate around things with some ingots and tiles, and connect the hips to the torso with a Technic axle. The upper leg uses a ball socket and a couple of bricks with studs on the side. I bulk up the outer leg and cover the studs with some detail pieces and add some more grill slopes to the top. I want this mech to have the best articulation possible, so I'm using T-bars and these round plates with holes to create double joints for extra range of motion. I put the lower leg together with a ball joint and some bricks with grill slopes on them. The shin gets rounded off with some slopes and I embed some clips to attach knee pads. I used some brackets to build out the ankle and grabbed one of the tires from the battle bus to really give it that Transformers look. I came up with this knee pad design using another stickered piece and got it attached to the clips. I threw the feet together pretty quickly and used some stickered tiles to add some more detail to them. With the right leg complete, I connected it to the hips after a couple of tries and duplicated the design to the other side. I used the same double joint design for the shoulders, elbows, and wrist of the mech. I attached another tire to the back of the arm and included some ladders and lights on the forearms. The hands turned out looking pretty good, but I might have to remove the thumb to hold certain weapons unless I decide to change the design later on. After getting both arms attached, I think this mech needs a weapon. You get a bunch of grapplers between all the sets, so I think a supersized version of this weapon will make for the perfect option. This mech is by far the most complicated one from this video, but I'm especially happy with the different types of poses it can do. I think I nailed the Transformers vibe, and it would be really fun to try more builds like this in the future. I should probably figure out a way to make it a little bit more stable though, because this thing falls apart if you look at it wrong.